One of the biggest struggles among competitive powerlifters is figuring out how to make sure your glutes don't come off the bench during the bench press. And so what I'm going to show you today is a really quick and really simple way to set up for your bench press to make it physically impossible for your glutes to come off. Quick side note, number one, if you're not a competitive lifter and your glutes are coming a little bit off the bench, it's not a big deal. I could really care less. But if they're coming a lot off the bench, and or if you're a competitive powerlifter and the validity of your bench press rides on whether or not your glutes come off, then you need to come up with a strategy to make sure that they don't actually come off the bench, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Second point I really want to mention, I know I am using a Smith machine. I'm very well aware. I don't bench press in the Smith machine unless I'm doing more hypertrophy based work. Definitely not when I'm training specifically for bench press performance. But number one, I'm traveling and this is the only thing I have available to me. And number two is I like using the Smith machine for this demonstration because it keeps the bar locked in. On a lot of bench presses, sometimes the bar will be moving around, and it's really good to practice your setup on the Smith machine because the bar isn't going anywhere. It's stayed stuck. I'm not saying to necessarily practice your bench with it unless you're looking for more hypertrophy, but to practice the setup, it's a really good tool. So what I'm going to do is, to start, when I set up for my bench, I get behind here, okay? So the very first thing that I do is I set my grip. So I'm going to find wherever my grip is, and that's a topic for another day. And so once my grip is locked in, once I have my bench press grip, my hands are not moving. A lot of times I'll see people moving their hands like this. No good. Get your grip, find it, it's glued there, you're stuck, you're not moving. Now what you're going to do is you're going to set your feet, and the setup that I use is usually for people with a lot more mobility, for people who want to get a bigger arch, okay? So I'm going to get my feet really close to where I currently am. So I'm going to keep them really far back on the bench, and I'm going to pull myself underneath the bar without letting my feet move forward. And what you're going to notice, the most important part of this, is that my glutes stay in contact with the bench the entire time. I'm not lifting my ass up. My glutes stay in contact. I'm sliding them on the bench, and this is the most important part. So I bring myself as far down as I can. My hands are staying put, and I'm slowly sliding my feet so that they can come more underneath me so I can get more leg drive. Once I find a comfortable position for them, and comfortable is a relative term right here, I'm going to push myself further so I can get a bigger arch while keeping my hands planted and feet planted, and my butt stays on the bench. Then I can bring my feet a little bit further, set them nice and good, and now I'm good to go. And what you're going to notice is my butt hasn't left the bench the entire time, to the point where right now, if I drive towards the floor and I'm using as much leg drive as I can, there's no way in hell my glutes are coming off the bench. And that's because I didn't let them come off the bench throughout the entire setup. If you force them to stay in contact throughout the entire setup, and you slowly bring your feet forward and you slowly bring yourself out and out and out, it's going to be physically impossible for your glutes to come off the bench. And what I really want to hit home here is this is not a comfortable position. It is very tight, very uncomfortable. But from a bench press performance standpoint, for competitive benchers, it is bar none the tightest position you can get in, with a big arch, and that will not allow your glutes to come off the bench. All right. So I'm going to show you one more time in real speed so you can watch it again. Grip is set up, feet are far back. I'm going to pull myself underneath with my glutes touching the bench the whole time. Now I'm going to bring my feet a little bit, bring myself underneath. Now my eyes are directly beneath the bar. Bring my feet in a little bit, good to go. Now I can push into the bar, drive my heels towards the floor, use as much leg drive as I possibly can, and my glutes are not coming off the bench no matter what, all right? So that's how to set up your bench press if you don't want your glutes to come off. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below.